Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahushai, Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahushai, Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahushai, Barakata Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem Kakadash, Barakatam, to the elders and apostles and bishops and deacons of Great Millstone, to the acumen Aquaf, throughout the four corners of the earth, holding on in sincerity and in truth to the gospel of the Lord of Mashiach Yahushai in these days and times, with diligence of mind. This brother Menasher in DC camp with short lesson for the hopeful elect. Yes, just to inform you that our troubles and woes on this earth are very puzzling, alright? And you just have to know that the elites of these Edomites, they're working hard day and night to have control over the planet. Alright, they want to have total control. They want to have a total grip, a complete grip on the lives of the people that the Lord has created. And you know what I say, man? What's done in the presence of the Lord is always being recorded. So the Lord has allowed certain things to take place, and then he has to have an action that will follow. So this is from the Australian government. You see a senator, he has concerns about the contract, this pharmaceutical company, Pfizer, that they had with the Australian government, and is wondering if the documents, the contract they have with Australia and Pfizer is similar to what they have with South Africa. So basically the whole point is the contract cannot be released to the public. It's confidential. That's what they're saying. The government gets into a business dealing with a pharmaceutical company, with a commercial entity, but the terms of the contract cannot be made public. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense at all, man. You know, just like you have all these construction companies that bid on contracts, they have to make their proposals available to the government. And when they do that, the government can review it. And then when they review it, then they can now sign it. And when they sign those documents are still available to the public. Alright, the ministry has to make those documents available. So I get a quick precept, man. It's just something to think about, man. You have so many things going on the earth. You can't focus on everything. You just gotta pick one, and then you look into it, shed some light on it, and then you move on to the next one. Yeah, you can't be all over the place. You just focus on the main things that you can. You have a priority list, okay? So I'm going to read from the book of Revelation, chapter 20, verses 4 and 5. Right. So it says this, Revelation 20 and 4, and I saw thrones, and they that sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them. And I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Hamashiach Yahushai. So remember, that's the ultimate cost you could pay for serving the Lord Hamashiach Yahushai, being a true witness unto the end, your life. Alright, that's what it is. If Yahushai laid down his life for our sins, why shouldn't we be able to lay down our lives for his testimony? Alright, so that's a beautiful connection that we have to maintain. And for the word of Yahweh, and which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither had they received his mark upon their foreheads or in their hands. Yeah, So that's the price, the elect have to pay. Those that have been selected by the Lord to go through that process of being beheaded, hey, it's just a testimony. The Lord has to make a statement to show the world that though the elect, some of them have to be beheaded, they're still going to be raised back to life. So the Lord has to allow these evils to take place so he could show his power, that he has power over life and death. Yeah. So just imagine someone getting his head or her head chopped off, and then they get resurrected, and then they're 1,000,000,000 times better than their previous self. Yeah, so that's what the Lord has promised to his servants, the elect. And they lived and reigned with Hamashiach Yahushua 1,000 years. And then that's something we all have to remember, man. Okay? That's something we all have to remember. I just can't ignore that part. Yeah, so verse 7 says, and when 1,000 years have expired, so this is going back to the 14th century, when Esau began to be raised out of the Caucasus region. All right, and when 1,000 years have expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison and shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth. So he has to use his companies to get into power with his governments on the earth. He has to figure out a way of how he can use his position to muscle the government. All right, so he has to put his agents in all these government positions, and that's exactly why people have problems with governments, because the government has been bought and paid for by the super elites. It's a network of puppets, whether it's local, whether it's the state level, federal, national, all that stuff. It's all one giant network of puppets, an army of puppets that the Lord is exposing, okay? And that's the point, to deceive the world. And when the world has been deceived, they are easily led to the slaughter. They're easily led to work against their own interests for the benefit of the serpent, for the benefit of the adversary. All right. So the book of Job chapter 5 verse 14 says, they meet with darkness in the daytime. All right, secrecy. Yeah, that's why they don't want these documents to be released. They don't want to talk about the contents of these contracts, and grope in the noonday as in the night. Yeah, so they always figure out with their so-called lawyers and so-called experts of how they can write up a document, a contract, and then they have the government, go along with it. And that's the problem that the people have to deal with now. All right. So, it's depressing, but also part of the journey. So just don't dwell too much on depression. It's a bitter experience, but it has to take place. It's part of the process we all have to experience before we make it into the kingdom.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Babette.
Thank you, President. My question is for the Finance Minister, Minister Gallagher. Now, Minister, in recent weeks, we've seen the public release of COVID-19 vaccine contracts in South Africa, including the Pfizer contract following a High Court ruling. Now, these contracts have revealed very liberal indemnity clauses, which we know from our own budget papers create an unquantifiable contingent liability. Now, Section 5.5 of the contract between Pfizer and the South African government state, and I'll just quote, Persia further acknowledges that the long-term effects and efficacy of the vaccine are not currently known, and there may be adverse events of the vaccine that are also not currently known. Now, can the Minister confirm if the Australian contracts have the same or similar words? Thank you, Minister.
Thank you, Senator Babet. Minister Watt.
Babet, I would be obliged, President, if he could be clear whether or not Minister Gallagher is being asked as Finance Minister or as Minister representing the Minister for Health.
Senator Babet, if you'd like to clarify.
Presenting the Minister for Health, please.
Thank you, Senator Babet. Minister Gallagher.
Thank you very much. And I think the final part of your question was about a clause in the contract and whether it... Right, okay. So those contracts are commercial in confidence, and I do note in the South African case that Senator Babet refers to, it was as a result of a High Court decision in South Africa where a matter was taken to court by the Health Justice Initiative.
Yep, so that's what you got to deal with. So South Africa had a deal with Pfizer not to release the contents, not to release the documents of the contract, to make it known to the public. And then coming to find out, the government was, acting funny, and then the same things happened in Australia. You heard what the lady clearly said. It's held in confidence, confidentiality, secrecy. All right, so that's how messed up, the world has become. So just imagine when they conduct clinical trials and they don't want to release the data. You have the head of the CDC. They don't want to release the so-called data they have as per all these clinical trials and whatever they want to talk about, on public airwaves. They just want to talk as if everything is all sweet and productive, but when it comes to having the actual facts and shedding some sunlight, all of a sudden it's a problem. No matter how hard you tell them, release the information, they don't want to do that. So it just shows you how desperate they are to cover up their tracks, because they're up to no good. So Amos chapter 5 verses 12 says, "For I know your manifold transgressions and your mighty sins. They afflict the just, they take a bribe, and they turn aside the poor in the gate from their right." Yeah, so when you want to know exactly what's going on, man, they want to prevent you from progressing, and then they oppress you, and then they want to delete you. So that's how evil and corrupt the governments of this world have become. And they always encourage transgressions against the Lord. They're always promoting degenerate habits, to destroy the lives of people, blasphemous acts, passing legislation to turn the people's mind against the Lord. And when the people don't want to turn against the Most High, all of a sudden they're labeled as domestic terrorists. So that's something, you have to consider. And then, the famine of the word. When the famine of the word happens, you're going to see the evil intents of their heart. So Amos 5:13 says, "Therefore the prudent shall keep silence in that time, for it is an evil time." Yep, so expect, these so-called government officials, man, these public servants, or what you want to call them, civil servants, to go bonkers, man. When they release their the power of violence over the people, just like they were using the so-called police officers to mistreat the people, oppress and destroy the people. It's just a matter of time. We're going to see that happening on a larger scale. So you just got to pray those things happen. Pray those things take place. And it happens rapidly so that, your faith can go through that trial. That the Lord speed things up so we can get to the kingdom. So the book of Sirach, chapter 40, verse 12, this is what it says. It says, all bribery and injustice shall be blotted out. So you can imagine when you hook somebody up with a job, a 6-figure job, and they have all these connections to all these folks with big purses, what do you think the puppets are going to do? They want to stay there as long as they can. They want to have that phenomena of a revolving door going between private corporation, between the private sector and the government sector, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, lining up the pockets of the super rich. That's how they get those positions to make sure that the money flows up. It flows up and then it sprinkles downward. That's what it is. Have a big old gush, a big old gush to the upward level, and then a few sprinkles, a few splashes downwards. And that's the game of the elite. They want all the resources in their power, in their coffers, and they just want a few sprinkles, crumbs at the bottom, basically treating the people like dogs. Yeah, so that's what it is. Sirach chapter 40 verse 12, all bribery and injustice shall be blotted out. So that's what the Lord Shai has to return. Alright, that's exactly what Yahweh Shai is about to fix on his second coming. But true dealing shall endure forever. That's just what it is, man. Yeah, scripture talks about unrighteous dealing, that the kingdom shall be transferred from the unrighteous to the righteous, alright, from the wicked to the good. Yeah, so it's just what it is. You can't run away from what the Lord Shai is about to do. He already has his marching orders from the Lord Yahweh, and expect him to carry it out to the detail. Alright, so Ecclesiastes chapter 5 verse 8, it says, if thou seest the oppression of the poor and the violent perverting of judgment and justice in a province, marvel not at the matter. Alright, so as a man of the Lord, as a servant of the Lord, Amashak Yahushai, don't get heartbroken and be all amazed, wondering like, wow, god damn, man, and then you lose track. Don't get engulfed by the actions of this super elite. Don't be consumed by their actions, alright? For he that is higher than the highest regarded, alright? So he that is higher than the super elite of this world regards, he's taking note. That's why he has his angels going to and fro on the earth, alright, taking records of what's taking of what's happening, alright, whatever's happening in secret or whether it's in public, everything is being recorded, alright, and there be higher than they. Yeah, so the angels are taking notes, man. They're keeping records. They're reporting back to the Lord. The eyes of the Lord are running to and fro on the earth, and the secrets of man cannot be hidden. Yeah, so too many deals are taking place behind closed doors that the people don't know. And just imagine when all hell breaks loose, man. All that legislation, they're just gonna, rubber stamp it just like that, one after the other, one after the other, one after the other. And you're gonna see how all these governors are gonna go in line. All these mayors are gonna go in line, and all these corporations, they're all gonna go in line. So that shows you, how oppressive and the violent perversion of the ways of the Lord will be in those days. All right. So don't expect to get justice, in the court system, because the courts are controlled by the government. The judge don't want to be blotted out by the sword. Yeah, because the elites want to have total control. Don't want no peanut judge, standing in their way. And that's what it is, man. They don't want nobody standing in their way. They don't want these whistleblowers standing in their way. So only the elect have the foundation to stand in their way, because they are standing in our way too. So basically, opposing forces. All right, they have the forces of righteousness in opposition to the forces of evil. So, as a man of the Lord, you already know what you signed up for. That's the price you have to pay. Enemies, are always going to be there. And you have to make a stand about what values you want to uphold. Okay? So, not to ramble on too long, get the book of Isaiah, chapter 59. What it says, verses 6 and 8, it says their webs shall not become garments. So all their deceptions is not going to hold on as much as they think, because the Lord has to disappoint the plans of the crafty. Neither shall they cover themselves with their works. Yep, so they're not going to be able to accomplish their evil deeds, despite all the destruction they're going to bring upon the face of the earth. Their works are works of iniquity, and the act of violence is in their hands. Yeah, so the beheading of the elect, the causing of the famine, the causing of the pestilence, all that is the work of the wicked. But the Lord is using them to do it. So how do you think the Lord is going to make things right when all that has been accomplished? All right, He has to put them away. That's what it is. They've done their job. They no longer needed in that position of power. So the Lord has to cast them out. All right. Zeph 9 and 7. Their feet run to evil, and they make haste to shed innocent blood. And that's what they do with their so-called agenda. All right. Whether it's through the jab, or whether it's through redlining, whether it's through their so-called legislation, the people are so pressed. People are getting that pressure. And they're upset. They're venting all over TikTok, over the social media. You have all this deluge of drugs coming across the border, and the government is basically pretending as if they don't know where it's coming from. Yeah, so they're causing problems, and then they want to pose as the ones with the solution. Yeah, their thoughts are the thoughts of iniquity. Wasting and destruction are in their path, and that's what they do. You could see all the drug addicts, out there in public. You could see other people having nervous breakdowns. You could see the correctional facilities just getting filled up with inmates day in, day out. Yeah, you see all the type of poison they're pushing upon the face of the earth. The polluting the environment. There's the air, the land, and the water, and the minds of the people. Deforestation, you name it, man. So, what do you think the Lord is going to do? The Lord says, if those days shall continue, no flesh shall be saved, but for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. The rulership of the Edomites has to be eliminated. All right. So that's what it is, man. The governments of this world have been captured by the super elites. All right. Whether it's the governments or the public sector, so like or the private companies, these big old companies, they're all in the pockets of the elites. They control the purse strings. They control the violent instruments, all right? And they have the media to deceive the people, all right? So let's see one more precept be from the book of Psalms chapter 17, verse 13. Arise, O Lord, disappoint him, cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword. And that's the prayer, our forefather, King David, was always made. Yeah, a prayer of King David. Yeah, so that's something we all have to remember on a daily basis, man, for the Lord to deliver our soul from this wicked elite of the world, the so-called white man, all right, which is thy sword. Yeah, their job is to bring violence upon the face of the earth. And you pray in the Lord uses his angels to shield you from that impending doom, that impending destruction that his sword is about to unravel, release upon the face of the earth. Yeah, so they do everything in their power, man. The super elites of the world, they do everything in their power to attack the people. All right, whether it's through censorship, whether it's through violence, coercion, or deception, hey, you just have to be aware of it. Now, Psalms chapter 91, verse 3 to 6 tells you, what you should keep your trust in. Surely he shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler and from the noisome pestilence. All right, so the Lord has to protect you from the traps, from the webs of deceit, and from the violence that Esau is bringing upon the face of the earth. Verse 4, he shall cover thee with his feathers, or that's his angels, and under his wings shalt thou trust. And that's what it is, man. The angels have to have charge over us to protect us from the evil that's coming upon the face of the earth, to provide that spirit of comfort. His truth shall be thy shield and buckler. And that's what we need, man. The truth of the Lord. The knowledge that gives you understanding. That's what you need, man. That gives you wisdom. That gives you faith. That's what you need. The word of the Lord. All right. Sanctify them through that truth. That word is truth. Yeah. And that's what the Lord expects us to hold on to. Verse 5, thou shalt not be afraid of the terror by night, nor for the arrow that flieth by day. Yeah, just like, you watch the Purge movie, man. It's just horrible, to see the downfall of people that they thought their lives was going to be on track. And then you just wonder like that, damn. And then you just have to shake yourself up and say, you know what? This is the will of the Lord, that these things have to take place for the kingdom to be rebuilt upon the face of the earth, for the kingdom of heaven to be revitalized upon the face of the earth. Okay? Nor the pestilence that walketh in darkness, nor the destruction that wasteth at noonday. So all these are diseases that Esau likes to create and release into the public. Is just something that we have to be prepared for, spiritually and medically, with your herbs, on the, psychologically, all that stuff, man. You have to encourage yourselves with the word of the Lord, so you're able to bear the indignation of the Lord that's coming upon the face of the earth. A lot of people are going to lose their minds when they can no longer handle the pressure. And when you have access to the best therapists, the best psychologists, the best psychiatrists in the universe, hey, you can deal with any problem that comes your way. And then it says, no, for the destruction that wasted at noonday. So the destruction of the elites at the height of their power, the perfection of their violence, the Lord is going to protect you from the greatest violence that they have in their hand. The greatest power that these elites have is that nuclear missile, man. That's all it is, man. That nuclear missile, that nuclear technology, that's the highest level of weaponry that they have. And the Lord is still going to protect you from that. So you just got to be grateful, man, that the Lord has all your bases covered for you. And hey, the sun still rises, the moon still shines. Hey, the Lord already said it, man. You know, that's how He's not going to allow the name of Yasharallah to be blotted off the face of the earth. So that's the point that I can, you know, you just got to be aware that a lot of people have been intoxicated with the juice. And it's only a matter of time you're going to see the hangover and the serious results. So, Abaratazah, the Lord Hamashaki Abashai, Bashim Kakadash, we continue to protect us and, you know, give us the eyesight to see in this dark world. Bashim Abashai, Bashim Kakadash, with the approval of Yahweh. Shalom.